All right. Hello, everybody. I wanted to make sure I got the recording going there. I really blew it yesterday. I was on the Q&A session for SitePop and forgot to turn the recording on. So we got about 15 minutes in and didn't get the first part recorded. So bad on me. Anyway, we are recording. It is September 19th, 2019 here. This call is open for anybody. You've got questions, you're free to come out, just unmute and come out and tell us what's on your mind there.
Hi.
Hey, Gregory, how's it going?
Very good. I finally launched my videos on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A little raw around the edges, but I'm doing live. I'm going. I live to record. In other words, I don't edit. I just do it. I just talk off the top of my head, but I make my presentations. But here's the thing. I have been telling everybody about it. I've been passing out business cards. And when I go and check my numbers, it's like got one or two views. I mean, I was at a meeting on Tuesday morning, City Club, Network Club, and 10 people, and all excited about what I had to say. And I was saying, I do my stuff in real time. I show you what's happening today, not what happened 3 months ago, like some people do. And they were all very supportive and yeah, super, I'm going to check you out. So I come home and there's like one view.
Gotcha. Okay.
and and what's happened now, evolution. I've been working with a gentleman for 2 years, and he's a CPA, and we have some very good results. I mean, really tremendous results. Now the big idea is launching our own hedge fund. Don't Because what I'm finding is, and I think of Craig Dougfalt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm not that Craig. I'm sorry, wrong person. Courtney Smith. Courtney Smith is
Okay.
part of Peak Potential for the stock stuff, and he runs a lot of schooling. And most of those people that show up are he does a lot of what's called scholarship,
Okay. Yeah.
grants. Okay, so he fills the room, a lot of people there, and I just don't see. In other words, I want to get my first million fast. I don't see it. I don't see the path in teaching doing that. Setting up the hedge fund, and my experience being a trustee and interviewing hedge fund managers, and this guy who's a CPA who has access to a lot of upscale clients, we're thinking about that direction. So my question though is, how much further should I keep pushing my YouTube before I decide that the quickest, if you're gonna fail, fail quickly.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm
Well,
done.
let me just address that because you didn't fail. You just really didn't do anything. You set up a YouTube thing. You called it a launch, but it wasn't really a launch in the true sense of the word. A launch is a big movement. A launch is like when you get a bunch of partners involved and you got a big promotion. That's what a launch is. I hear a lot of people saying they launch, and really they're considering just putting up a new website a launch. It's not a launch. It's just putting up a new website. And what you did was you put up a YouTube deal. And that's not really a launch. And here's another thing too. I see this a lot because I deal a lot with people that are in groups. They're in groups and they're young entrepreneurs, and I don't mean young by age, I mean by the sense of an entrepreneur. They're young entrepreneurs. You could be 80 years old and be a young entrepreneur. And being a young entrepreneur just means you don't really have a lot of backing and experience, and you haven't built that yet. You haven't built those muscles. So what I see a lot in that realm, the young entrepreneurs, is they put something up like what you just did, and then they go out and they talk to their warm audience, which is the group that they're in, and everybody cheers them on. Everybody says, right on, great, good job, pat you on the back, I'm going to check it out. And they're never going to check it out. Everybody face to face is going to blow sunshine up your dress and all of that. But when they leave the room, they're not in front of you. That just poof, it's gone. It vanishes. That is not a true promotion. that is basically getting feedback from the wrong source. So do not take what you just did as a failure. Don't say I'm going to fail fast because nobody that said was going to go there went there. That's not an accurate assessment of a failure. A failure is when you target a specific market for something that they're specifically interested in, and you drive those people to the offer, and the offer doesn't convert. That is what I call a micro failure. It does not mean that the whole thing is going to be a shambles. It means that you need to change something. You know, marketing campaigns very rarely come right out of the gate and are, you know, whopping successes. You can get close to that. Like if you follow the ACT protocol, the protocol is there to make sure that you get it right the first time. But when you get it right, all that means is you've got the right audience, you got the right messaging, and in some cases, it's a little bit of guesswork. You know, you're guessing a lot on what you think they're thinking. Sometimes when you get into the reality, you find out, hey, they're thinking something slightly different. So all you have to do is do some minor tweaks to your campaign, and then all of a sudden you see the conversions go up, and you're like, okay, now I'm on the right track. Now I can take a step forward. Now we can test something else. You know, really, really successful marketing campaigns, they will do paid traffic to do all of this stuff. They'll figure out their conversion numbers. They'll figure out, you know, what the market reacts to. And then they go out to their JV partners and they say, look, I have an offer. I know it converts. I've tested it. Here's my numbers. Would you like to jump on board? And then they do that with like 20 different JV partners. Now you've got a launch. Now you can have a launch date. Now everybody can push the offer. You know the offer converts. It's just a matter of numbers now. That's more of what an actual launch looks like. There's other types of launches. You can actually do your own launch without any JV partners, and you can do it with paid traffic. I want to talk a little bit about that today, of possibly one of the most underutilized traffic sources and very inexpensive right now. It's not always going to be that way. It's like when Facebook first started running their ad campaigns, their ad platform. You could jump in there and you could buy really, really cheap traffic. You could target it very well. And Facebook, I always say Facebook isn't really like the best source of traffic. It's a good source of traffic if your audience is unaware and you're really good at grabbing their attention and bringing them aware of what you've got, or even a problem they might not even be aware of. It's a great for that. But if you want the best traffic on the planet, it's people that are in mode looking for something. They're what's called in purchase mode. You know, they're in buying flow. They're actually hunting for something to either solve a problem or get something they want, something along those lines. A lot of times people are starting that process with the word how to or how do I. A lot of times that will lead to a buying trigger for something that they want. The best place right now that you could do those, I mean, I'm a search guy. I'm an SEO guy from way back. I always tell people search traffic is the best traffic on the planet because of that. Because there's no better time to get in front of your customer than when they're looking for you. Plain and simple, there's no other way to cut that pie. It is the best traffic on the planet. Every other type of traffic I know about, I've ever seen in advertising, is what's called disruptive. When you're playing the disruptive advertising game, you have to be really good. You've got to be on your A game because they're not in mode, they're not in flow, they're doing something else. And you have to grab their attention, redirect them, pull them over into your sandbox and get them to play. That's a very difficult game. You can do it, they do it every day. It happens all day long. But for a new entrepreneur, that's a really tough game to play. So I don't recommend it to start out with. So search traffic, back to that, the new source that, you know, and it's not a new source. In fact, Gregory, you just alluded to it. It's YouTube. People are going to video almost as much as they are to the search box now. And YouTube video actually is a search engine. What people do, they treat it just like a search engine. They go to YouTube, they type in what they're looking for, and now they don't just get search results, they get actual live video. You know, that's really a good place to play. There's all kinds of people typing in all kinds of how do or how to or how do I. Those are huge phrases in YouTube for almost anything. That is a really great source of traffic. Now, in YouTube, it's the same thing as in Google or Bing or Yahoo or any other search platform. If you want to get the free traffic, you have to optimize your videos. That's a harder game to play. It's a longer process, all that. It's just like SEO. You know, SEO does not happen overnight. Same thing within YouTube. YouTube is almost an identical replica of the algorithm that Google uses, you know, because they're owned by Google. They have all the same technologies. They're looking at user experience. They're looking at how many people view your video. So it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. You put up a new video. How do you get 1,000 people to view it so you can get those stats and have them boost you to the top? It's a more difficult task. So the easy way is just to buy the traffic. You can go in, you can set up a Google AdWords account, and you can buy video traffic on YouTube. It's a really cool source of traffic. And like I said, it's very inexpensive because a lot of people are not doing it. There's just like every other new traffic source. And again, YouTube's not a new traffic source. It's been around for years. It shocks me that it hasn't really taken off like what Facebook did. It just blows my mind. And then when I think about why, you know, I'm always thinking about the why behind everything. It's really an easy answer. Everyone is afraid of video. So if you are not afraid of video, you have a huge advantage. If you're not afraid to like get out on a Zoom call and just create content face to face, talking, you know, reality to people, you should do really well in the YouTube paid space because you can buy those ads really, really inexpensively. The cool thing is you can put your ad out, and if it doesn't work, Google basically charges you after people watch your ad for a certain amount of seconds. So if your ad is not on target, people are clicking off of it. If they click the skip, what happens is you don't pay for that. You have that 5-10 seconds before they hit the skip button to brand yourself, to activate them, do an awareness, anything that you want to do, because you can keep on doing it over and over and over. You only pay when they click. It's just like pay-per-click. Your ad shows, it displays in front of a bunch of people. The first person that clicks, you get charged. It's the same thing with the video platform. So I really truly believe that that is a gold mine for anybody that wants to get their product in front of people inexpensively and quickly, because it's, you know, it's just like pay-per-click. You can turn it on and off just like a faucet. You know, it's not traditional SEO. You can go and you can get it like right now. You could do it today. SEO, if anybody's ever done that, you know it's not happening today. You're going to do a lot of work, and you know maybe you'll see some results down the road at some point. You know, they're great results, don't get me wrong. It's SEO is something that is very worth building. It's a long-term equity building activity, and it's very, very worthwhile. But if you need sales today, if you need to launch and you need to get, you know, viewers like right now, SEO is not your game of choice. It's going to be paid advertising or using influencers. And an influencer is just somebody in your market that has your audience in their database, and you can get in front of them in a couple of different ways. You could either interview them and have them invite their audience to watch the interview. That's one way to do it for free. That's getting kind of hashed though. A lot of people are doing that, It's the guys that are the true influencers are kind of catching on to that. They're like, yeah, I don't think so. They're passing on that sort of a thing because it's not really an opportunity for them. I mean, think about it. For them to be interviewed in front of their own audience that they've already built, it's not a lot of benefit in that for them. But if you repackage the offer and you say, hey, how about you bring me on as the expert to you interview me to your audience, I show them something really cool that I offer for sale, and I make a soft offer to them at the end, and I give you a cut of it. So you're going to actually get paid for putting me on your channel. That's a pretty enticing offer. And there's influencers in every category. You know, there's different software that you can use to find those influencers easily if you don't know who they are. There's several of those. If you go into our resources section, I've got links for those products, for those programs. They're, you know, it's online software. You can just put a keyword in and it will tell you who the influencers are. Authority Spy is one of them. If you go in there in the resources, look for Authority Spy, and there's another one, I forget the name of it, but it's a really good one too. They're both really good. So that's a really cool way to find those influencers if you want to launch that way. But I really encourage you, before you do a launch of any kind, you pay for some cold traffic and make sure that your offer actually converts. Make sure your message resonates. Make sure that your big idea actually grabs their attention. Because remember, the big idea, that's kind of the thing out in the front of any marketing campaign. And it's really, it's kind of sums up your whole thing in one shot, like one short paragraph. And basically what it does, the big idea makes a promise. It's like, here's the promise, here's the unique mechanism how we're going to deliver on that promise, and it's put into a unique and compelling way that they haven't heard it before. That is the true definition of a big idea. And we've got the big idea tutorial to show you actually how to craft that for all the apprentices. I usually do those for all the apprentices because I've gotten really good at that. They fill out a form, they put in a few items for me, and I come up with these big ideas that I think are spectacular. And a lot of people that get them, they're like, oh my God, how did you come up with that? So it's really, that's such an important piece of any launch, any marketing campaign. If you go back to the guy that actually branded that, the guy that came up with a phrase calling it the big idea, was David Ogilvy. He was a very famous advertiser back in the 50s. There's been a TV show, Mad Men, that was built around him. That show that's basically him. It's portraying him. And he came up with that. He called it the big idea, and that's kind of stuck throughout history in the ad world. It's known as the big idea. There was an interview one time with some woman interviewing him and asking him, you know, what makes your ad campaigns so spectacular? How do you get ad campaigns every time out of the gate that resonate, compel, and sell? And that was the question posed to David Ogilvy, and he said it's the big idea. He said any ad campaign that does not have a big idea to it is going to pass like a ship in the night, meaning it's going to be unseen. And it's really, I mean, that is the piece. If you don't have that, I can almost guarantee your ad campaign is not going to convert. First of all, it's not going to get anybody to look at it. That's the most important thing, is that you be able to grab people's attention. If you're not effective at grabbing attention, you're never going to start a conversation. And another thing, this kind of goes to an ongoing conversation that I've had with probably a dozen or more people in the last week. And it seems like it's been going on for several weeks. But the thing is, I've been telling everybody, you cannot create an online campaign out of something that never worked in the real world. If you look at funnels, the definition, my definition of a funnel, you know, a lot of people throw that term around very loosely right now. My definition of a funnel is nothing more than a sales process. It's a sales process that at one point worked in the real world. And if it didn't, don't expect it to work in the online world. When you go online, there's no magic. It's like the universe didn't change just because you went online. People didn't change, buying triggers didn't change, the laws of gravity didn't change, the rules of nature did not change just because we went online on our computer. So if you're using a sales tactic that never worked in the real world, do not expect it to work here. It's not going to. I've never seen it happen. I can't even speculate that it ever would. So if you look at if you've never been in business, this is hard to grasp because you're, what I call that new entrepreneur. You don't have the experience. Maybe you've never done sales. But what you need to do is look at someone that has. I haven't seen anybody yet that's in something new. There's nothing truly new out there. You might have a new way to do it, but you don't see just too many industries spring up out of nowhere that no one's ever heard of before. The anomaly to that was the internet. That was one that truly did. It came out of nowhere. No one had heard of it, but that doesn't happen very often. So what you want to do is whatever industry you're in, if you're in healthcare or you're in real estate, it doesn't matter. There's been people before you that have been very successful offline. Look at their sales process. How did they do it? Did they meet face-to-face first time meeting and try and get a $100,000 sale? I don't think so. I see people trying to do that online. It's not going to work because it never worked in the real world. So go back, look at the sales processes, look at the companies that are really successful and look at how they do it. How do they generate their leads? How do they nurture those leads? How do they educate their prospects into their product is the right one for them and the only one for them? And what's their offer look like? If you get your head wrapped around that, that's the funnel you need to build. Take a process that worked in the real world and replicate it. If you do that, you'll have a process that actually works. If you go against that, you're almost going against the laws of gravity. It's not going to work. It's going to be very, very difficult, and your advertising is going to be extremely expensive because you're going to be paying for stuff that doesn't convert. That's a bad idea. If anybody thinks that's a good idea, I've got some stuff to sell you. So anyway, that's what you want to do. I mean, look at what works in the real world. There's nothing I've seen yet that someone has shown me that worked in the real world that we could not replicate online. And that is really, if you look at the base core factor of this, that's the thing that's like what I call the keys to the kingdom. If you figure out what works and you replicate it online, you can automate it. Think about how easy you can do that. The dream that has been sold to all of us is you get a website and the thing is a salesperson and it sells 24/7 while you sleep, right? That's the dream that a lot of us bought into. And half of me, I'm like split right down the middle. Half of me is going to say bullshit to that, and the other half's going to say it's absolutely true. And both are right. If you take a sales process that worked in the real world and you replicate that into an online funnel and you put that on your website, that's where I'm going to say it's absolutely true. You come up with some fantasy scheme that never worked in the real world and you think you're going to have a website that sells 24/7, I'm going to say bullshit. It's not going to happen. It's just not.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good. That review page that we talked about last week, we're going to put up a YouTube video. You were just talking about YouTube.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to point a YouTube video at that page yet until we're 100% about this idea of there's keywords there's a bunch of pictures on that page.
Mm-hmm.
And one question that I had is, when the Google bot hits a page and they can read text and photographs,
Mm-hmm.
will Google count that towards keyword density? So example, if it says viral X review, viral X side effects in the pictures, not in the text, in the pictures, is that added towards the total keyword density for that page?
Okay, so here's something I'm not quite sure of. When Google reads the keyword density, and I don't know that anyone really knows the answer to this, I don't know if they have an effective way to split out code from content. So what happens is when you put an alt tag in and you're adding that keyword in the alt tag, that's the question. That's the gray area of, are they taking every word in the code of the entire page and looking at it that way, or do they have an effective way to split the content out? If they're splitting the content out, then no. If they're looking at 100% code, then yes. And I don't know that anybody really knows the true answer to that. I've never heard the true answer to how they actually do that. I've never seen it in a patent. I've read a lot of their patents
Right.
to kind of see a lot of the stuff that I know is a factor, but that particular one I've never seen. I would say that it's probably the entire code, because I don't believe they have a way to effectively split it out. And another reason that makes me believe that is when we used to optimize Flash sites. A Flash site has no code. It's just a Flash file. It's like one image.
Right.
And what we used to do, we used to go into the Flash file and we would embed an entire page of content, and they would read it. We would actually be able to rank a page with virtually no content on it by hiding the content inside the code.
Right.
So that's another thing that leads me to believe that they do look at the entire code. So when they base the keyword density, I believe it's probably on the whole code. I
Now,
don't have anything to prove that, but
yeah,
that's
so
my
you're
thought.
saying the code, but in terms of visually in the photograph, that's not in a code. That's in, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I don't,
Photograph, if it says viral X review.
yeah, I don't think they're reading that. They're,
So you're pretty
people,
confident that that's not going to be added to.
no, the only thing I know of that they're doing with images is they're doing face recognition. But
Okay.
if it's not a face, I don't think they're detecting like words in an image. What they look at is they look at the file name, they look at the alt tags, they look at basically the code around the image, and then if there's face recognition, that probably kicks in on top of that. But they're not physically. There's nobody at Google like there's no little code rats running around in the background looking at the images. It's a machine that's looking at the code.
Yeah, because
Typically,
I'm confused because you said that, and I found this to be true, that if you put keywords in a photograph and the file name has the keyword, but also if you put the keyword in the photograph itself visually, it will rank higher than pictures that don't have that. And we found that to be true. So
okay.
I don't, yeah.
I'm not really sure. It's probably because you had the keyword in the image code.
Okay.
I don't know that it's like, and I'm not sure. I mean, they could be actually visually, they could have a way, like just like they do with face recognition, they could have, advanced that into actually reading text on an image. I haven't heard of it, but it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. That's for sure.
So in terms of density, you wouldn't worry about it, or to play it safe, will you just not really put a lot of keywords and text into photos?
What you should have in the text of your photos, like in your alt tags, the reason alt tags are there, it's for ADA compliancy. So it's basically for when a blind person is looking at the site, they roll over the image and it speaks to them and it says whatever that is. It's supposed to describe the image. So if you describe the image and you put your keyword in the description and it fits in, that's the way I would do it. But I wouldn't keyword stuff those.
Okay. For keyword density, is Google applying that to common words? in other words, the or you. We went through this text last week, and one of the things I noticed was that, like, for example, the word the came up 8% of the time.
Yeah.
Is that a problem? Or does
No,
Google
no,
go in and split out the common words?
Yeah, that's what's called a disregarded. That's like a disregarded entity. So they know like a and the and of and all of that. They just don't count that stuff.
So don't even worry.
Don't worry about that. What I would be more concerned with is your actual keyword. Like, don't repeat a specific keyword over and over and over, because they know that they don't like that. They totally get, I mean, they're really smart. The guys that built that algorithm, they're really, really intelligent people. They know how to differentiate live from Memorex. So if you keep everything like with common sense, you'll do really well.
Okay. So if we had, like, for example, the main keyword is now at 1%, it's mentioned 22 times, which sounds like a lot, but the entire article is about 6,000 words.
Yeah.
If you keep it within 1 to 2%, you're good.
That's perfectly fine.
That's where you want to be.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. So regarding another thing I wanted to ask you about was this, and I've been looking at this a few times, but this TF-IDF for keyword density, where, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Now, what was that again? TF?
TF-IDF. It's supposedly one of the information analysis concepts out of the 1980s, and there's speculation that Google is using that along with keyword density. And there's a couple of tools that you can run the content through, TF-IDF. What it does is it looks at the top 20 websites ranking for a keyword, and there's a universe of words that are considered to be relevant to that keyword. And if you don't mention what do you think about that whole idea? Is that in play here? Should we?
Yeah, there's actually a term for it. I wasn't familiar with the term you were using. The term that I'm familiar with, that it might have been developed by the SEO community, is LSI. It's latent semantic indexing.
Okay.
That's exactly what it means. It's relative words. Like, if your keyword is baseball, LSI keywords would be stuff like bat, ball, glove, stadium, home run, first base.
Right.
Those are all relative to baseball.
Yeah, from what I understand, the LSI is a separate concept from this TF. You know.
Yeah, if it is, I'm not familiar with the one that you just named.
So you don't. Yeah, this is not really a thing. It's really LSI then.
LSI
the main thing.
Okay. Yeah, and again, LSI might just be an acronym for what you were talking about. I know that happens a lot in the SEO world, is, you know, people want to put their own name on stuff. So in fact, SEO to begin with, when I started, we didn't even know what to call it. SEO was something that the industry created.
Right.
So, people love to create shit and put acronyms on it. It's like being able to call it your own. In fact, you know, that I was talking about David Ogilvy and the big idea. That is actually part of the big idea, is creating what's called a unique mechanism. That's basically your word for something that everyone knows, but all roads lead back to you when it's looked for. It's a very powerful concept. So that's why people do that. Everybody wants to put their own names on things, so all roads lead back to them.
So for LSI, is there a tool that you would recommend to run content through before we publish it for LSI, or is this just you have to work on the skill of LSI writing? You have to be. Is that where the game is?
I'll tell you what, there used to be tools that we used on a very regular basis, because we knew the game was all about content at that point. Now the game is split between multiple factors, so it's not something we don't really focus. You know, when we build content, we're not really concerned with the keyword count anymore. I mean, when you told me what your keyword count was, it was like, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
But like when we're creating content at this point, we write it in a way that it's compelling to another human being that's going to be interested in that. And we write it however it's naturally going to be in their language. And we just really don't worry about it anymore, because the factor is such a small thing. The only thing you're worried about is you're worried about just not getting penalized for overdoing something radically.
Okay.
You know, if you're like in the 4 or 5% and it's natural and it's readable, and the big thing is if your consumers are consuming it. If they're engaging with the content and they're consuming the content, Google's never going to look on that badly. They're never going to look at that as a bad thing.
Okay, so anything north of 3 minutes, 4 minutes, if you're getting that consistently, 4 minutes, then you're on the right track generally.
Yeah, exactly. But if you write and you've got 80% keyword density, damn well that's not going to read very well.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to start reading that and go, what the hell is this? And they're going to abandon it. And then Google's going to look at both those factors and say, yeah, that's spam. No, you're out. So that's the only thing you want to be careful of. But if you're writing true content that your viewer is going to really be engaged with, I would never worry about, I wouldn't get anal over the keyword density.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Anybody else? Questions? We're open for questions here.
I have a question.
Hey, Hamina, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. You said you sent me an email, but I didn't see anything.
Oh, you were asking for testimonials. So I told you you could use my email for the
Gotcha.
rankings I sent you or whatever.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I didn't get what you were saying. All right, awesome. Appreciate that.
No worries. So I have a question. So that same client that got all those rankings, he's starting an office. So he's in Orange County, and he's starting an office in LA. And so the website that we've been optimizing for a long time, ranks well as in Orange County. So I was wondering what's the best way to now start to rank the LA location. Do we start up a whole brand new website that's just for the LA location, or do we add the LA location to this website?
I would say my personal opinion on that is to add the content to the existing site, because the site already has traction for the general keywords.
Yeah.
And all you're doing, you're adding new variations to it. So what I might do is on the site itself, I would put another nav button to our LA office. And then I would almost split that off as like a silo of content for LA. And I would create content pages based around the LA office and try and make them as unique as possible. Don't take like what you did for the Orange County offices and just duplicate it.
Okay.
Do fresh, brand new content based on the LA keywords, and then start running some links to those and hit it with site pop. And you should get traction pretty quickly that way.
Okay.
If you start a fresh brand new one, you're starting from scratch, and you've got to build up all of that authority that one site already has.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I wanted to double check.
Yeah, always. I'm never, at this point in the game, I'm never a proponent of splitting sites and creating a bunch of sites for different stuff. The more traffic that you can get onto one domain, the better off that you'll be. The more authority it builds, the more engagement it shows. And when you divide that into two sites, you basically, now you've got two sites that you've got to support. It's like a boat with two engines. It's twice the price, twice the headache.
Yeah.
If you can get them both up, it's twice as reliable, but it's a lot of work to do that. So I always take the path of least resistance when possible.
All right, thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Jim wants me to say more about Site Pop. Okay, Site Pop, I've kind of been talking about that for a while. If any of you are into SEO, what SitePop is, it's the software that we developed that sends search signals to websites. And what we realized in the last couple of years is with Google's rank brain algorithm, they're not only looking at content and incoming links anymore, they're actually looking at user engagement. Like if people click on your listings, if they bounce off your site, that's a bad sign. And if they stay on your site a long time, that's a good sign. The other thing that we realized when Chris and I, we really tore the patent apart and figured out, you know, what's really behind that engine. And one of the things that we recognized was the brand connection of people searching for a particular brand in connection with a keyword. That was a really important factor. So what SitePop does, we have a large network of mobile phones, tablets, desktop devices, and what they do, we can call upon those devices to run searches for any of our customers. So what will happen is SitePop will reach out to one of the devices and say, hey, run a search for this keyword, and when you find this domain, click through and give it a good user experience. If you don't find the site, then pop back to the search box and revise the search and add this brand to the keyword and rerun the search. Almost all of you will come up if you put your brand into the search box. So when you connect your brand and the keyword, the chances of someone else coming up for a connection or a combination of your brand and a keyword, pretty slim. You have a really good shot at coming up for that. And what happens is once you come up, then SitePop clicks through and tells Google they did the right thing. They gave you the right thing that you were looking for. And when that happens enough times, then what will happen is Google will start putting your site up because they know people know about it. If you run a search for almost anything right now, any kind of product or service, you'll notice that big brands dominate the top, and it's because of that. Like almost anything, you run a search for real estate, what are you going to see? The whole first page is big real estate companies. You don't see the little guys. They don't have a chance because they don't have that brand recognition. So SitePop is what we created to give the little guy a fighting chance, you know, to be able to fight back. And the actual app itself is called Marketing Assistant. So it's the same thing. Marketing Assistant is the app that people put on their phones to allow us to do those searches. So it's a requirement of using SitePop. Like all of our SitePop customers, they have to put the Marketing Assistant apps on their phones, and now their phones become part of our network to be able to run these searches for everyone else. So that's kind of how it works. Okay, Melinda, your event is over. Does it automatically come down, or do I need to take it down? Unless you have a timer, like in Kartra, this is a really cool thing with Kartra, and yours does not have a timer on it, I don't think. So you can put a timer on an event. Let's say you have an event page up and you want it to disappear at a certain point. What you can do is you can put a timer on there, and the timer counts down. And when the timer hits 0, you can redirect that page to a different page. So like, let's say you have an event and the event is over on Friday, and anybody that goes to that event page, you don't want them to sign up for an event that's already over. So you forward them now to a new page that has an opt-in box for get on the list for our next event. Really sorry you missed the one Friday. It was awesome. You should have been there. And then, you know, we would love to have you at our next event. So go ahead and drop your name and email in here, and we will notify you. We're working on the venue right now. As soon as it's available, we'll let you know so you have plenty of time to book that in advance and get the best rates and all that. So that's the way to automate that. We can do that for you. It's really easy to do. So yeah, just let me know. I'm going to be actually out at an event tomorrow tomorrow's Friday and Saturday. So if you shoot me over an email, we can replace that or put whatever you want up. I can put I could put an opt-in there for you to get them on the mailing list for your next event if you want.
Okay. And can you answer the second part of this question? I think that you said that, you know, we could get that Kartra, you can build your complete website there. Do I disband my old website? Do I redirect it? What do I need to do? Because I am not getting, and I have no opt-in, I have nothing. And so
Okay.
I'm really to the point where I am pulling my hair out,
Gotcha.
trying to get some traction.
Okay.
And I just did a search on conflict resolution, and there is no, I mean, if I can get my presence up there, I'm going to be the people that's going to be called, because all there are articles on conflict resolution.
Gotcha. There's no events. Okay, cool. That's
And no consulting firms.
yeah, that's a really good position to be in. So
I know.
what I would recommend for you, and basically for anybody, Kartra is a phenomenal system for marketing, for back-end stuff, for running your ad campaigns and everything. Unfortunately, it's not that great for SEO. So it's great for building the landing pages if you're going to do events and offers and promotions and launches and all that kind of stuff. It's great for that. But you want an actual website.
Okay.
And at this point in the game, WordPress is, you know, I used to be very anti-WordPress. I didn't like it because I thought it had, well, I knew it had too many vulnerabilities for one, and it was a big problem for Google, and I thought they were going to wipe it out. And I kept all of my customers off of it for a very long time. Now that I've seen they've made the shift, they didn't attack it, they just went to artificial intelligence. I believe it's safe at this point. So I don't have anything against it at this point. My previous fears of what was going to happen didn't come true, so it's cool again. So I'm not making a recommendation anymore of not using it. I think it's actually a good platform for most people, especially when it's built on a plugin called Beaver Builder. Beaver Builder makes it to where it's really easy for you to edit and adjust and do all that. I love the Beaver Builder plugin. We've created a bunch of sites here in the last 3 or 4 months because I have a new development team now, and they work really well. They're really fast. They're really good and dependable. I wasn't doing web development for a long time because I didn't have a dependable team to fulfill on it. But now I do.
So I can get in touch with them, John?
Yeah, you can just tell me what you want, and I'll just have them build it for you. And to give you an idea, they can build a pretty nice site for about $600.
Perfect.
So it's fairly inexpensive. They do a great job, and I have them do it on Beaver Builder, so it's very easy for me to go in and show you how to edit it and all that kind of stuff. I can support it.
Okay. But will they be able to do that for me as well?
Oh yeah, not a problem. And then with Kartra, we can create all the marketing stuff in Kartra, and we can take the buttons out of Kartra and then we can put them into your WordPress site.
Okay,
so
perfect.
Like we can put opt-ins over there. We can put click here to buy your event tickets. We can do all of that stuff very easily.
Okay.
So the combination of Kartra and WordPress is dynamite.
Okay.
I would highly recommend that.
I just have got to get some traction, John. I feel like I'm a fish on the beach. I'm just flopping around, and it's getting very frustrating.
I know you got onto the call a little bit later. Did you hear the part where I was talking about that? Because a lot of people are in your shoes. You might want to go back and listen to the replay. Listen to like the first 10, 15 minutes, because I was hitting that pretty hard.
Okay.
Gregory's going through the same thing. You guys have great stuff. It's just you have an unrealistic idea of what a launch looks like. And I went through, what it actually takes to actually, launch something out, get it done.
Okay.
Just putting it up is not a launch.
I'm republishing my book. So I'm thinking I might as well do everything at one time, and really, so I'll go back and review what you talked about the first 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, that's, I think
and then just shoot you an email about taking down the event as well as connecting with your development team, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, just
Thank
shoot me
you.
an email what you need, and I will get you taken care of.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, is there an available tutorial for showing how to put Kartra buttons on a WordPress site? I can make a tutorial for that. It's very, very easy. Like in a WordPress site, if you're using the Beaver Builder plugin or any kind of visual editor, all you're really doing is you're putting a place for either an HTML code. You can put like an HTML box, and then you can put the Kartra code in it, and then it's done. The button automatically appears. When they click the button, it's a live connection right over to your Kartra stuff. The other way to do it is if you just put a button on WordPress and you just link the button to a Kartra page, like a Kartra landing page or opt-in page. So it's very easy. But if you want the actual opt-in on your site, then you create that in Kartra, and then when you go to publish it, it'll give you the code. Like if you create a form and you want to put the form on an external site, it'll give you the form code, and then you just paste that code into WordPress and the form button shows up, and away you go. It's pretty simple. It's an easy process. Okay, Jim wants me to review the features of Kartra. Okay, Kartra is freaking awesome. It has all the features that you could possibly want inside of a marketing campaign. So I will just kind of, I've got my Kartra account. In fact, let me share the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, so I just sent out, this is I'm on the communications page where I do my broadcasts. This is how you guys get the emails of the call reminders. But there's a product section. Inside the product section, it gives you access to build all the products you want. It's your affiliate program, all of that stuff. So when you're in the products section, let me log back in here. It does kick you out after you've been off for a while. So there's all my products. Here's all my affiliates. You've got analytics. So you've got all this stuff. It tracks. It's a shopping cart. It's an affiliate program. Under communications, this is where you can do segmentation. You can do tagging. You've got lists. You've got leads. Under communication, this is your broadcasts. You can make sequences like an autoresponder sequence. If you want, like say somebody opts in and you want to send them a sequence of 7 emails over the next 2 weeks, you create a sequence. Automations, this is really powerful. This is where you can tell it, if somebody opens email 3 and clicks the button and goes to the landing page, then let's take them out of the sequence. So you can create automations like that. You can create an automation where if someone purchases a product and they're on a monthly subscription and they cancel it, then you create an automation to remove their access from that, and you can put another tag on them. So when you're sending emails out, you can exclude them from those emails, or you can include them on a particular email. Like let's say you want to go out and you want to send an email to everyone that has unsubscribed or everyone that is canceled out of your program. You might want to send them a special offer to try and get them back in. So that's where automations are really cool, because it can assign those tags without any human interaction. It just does it. You tell it what to do, how to track, and it handles all of that. Pages, this is where you create your landing pages. This is like lead pages, and I've got hundreds of pages in here that I've created. You can see these are webinar registrations, sales pages for Site Pop, local SEO booster. This is one of my Black Friday specials. I mean, you can create pages upon pages upon pages. And you've got split tests, analytics. Talk about feature rich. This thing, like I said, it has everything. Forms, you can create all the forms that you want. Like I literally have, the more forms that you have is the more places someone could opt in for something. So if you guys want to build a list, you want to have a lot of forms. You want to have a lot of grabbers to get them onto your list. So that's where forms come in. Memberships, if you want to create a membership site, this is the membership you guys are in right now. It's ACT. Here's the site pop. Those are memberships. Then you've got videos that will host all of your videos. So this is a video hosting platform as well. If any of you are paying for calendars, you can do your calendars in here. So I have an apprentice schedule for a calendar for my apprentices. I've got one for free consultation for when people go onto my website and they want to sign up for a free consultation. This is a calendar they can schedule. And then I've got one for the local SEO consult. So you can create all the calendars you want. You can create help desks. Like I see, I've got 6 open tickets in there in my help desk. So after the call, I need to go in there and reply to those. You can do canned responses. So you can just click a button and it will automatically give them the answer they're looking for. And you can create as many help desks as you want. Like I have one for the Dominator people. I've got one for specifically for Site Pop. And you can create as many as you want. Campaigns, this is a cool thing because you can grab all these assets and you can package it up into a campaign, and then you can give that to someone. Like I have different campaigns in here that I've created, and I can transfer those right into your account for you. If you have a Kartra account, I tell people, you know, if you sign up through my affiliate link, I'll give you all my templates, and I just transfer them right into your account once you have that set up. There is integrations. This is where you connect. This is like where you can set up an authorized net gateway. You can set up a PayPal account. You can set up mail. All of this stuff is all built right in. If you want to connect your Google Calendar into Kartra, if you have a Kajabi account, you can connect that. So there's all this different stuff where you can connect third-party things into your Kartra and integrate them seamlessly. And notice up here, I have 2 PayPal accounts. You can have multiple products attached to multiple bank accounts. Like I have 2 different authorized net accounts for 2 different businesses. And I have the appropriate one attached to the appropriate products. So that way when somebody buys product A, it goes into this account. When they buy product B, it goes into this account. So that's a really cool feature. Most of the other platforms don't allow that. They don't do that. And then there's the affiliate promotions where that, you know, this is where you go to see your affiliate stats and all that. Like Kartra, last 7 days, 2 rebills, 40% commission. So that's where you can see all of that stuff. So Kartra is a pretty phenomenal program. I think I hit all the features there for you, and it's very, very feature rich. It blows my mind when I see what they offer, you know, for $100 a month. It's like 90-something bucks a month. So that is that's basically what's under the hood in Kartra, and that's why I recommend it so highly. If you look at other programs, like a program that might be similar is Infusionsoft. I bought and paid thousands of dollars for Infusionsoft, and I could never get it to work. It's like it took a science degree to get that damn thing to work. And most everybody I know never got it to work either without paying somebody a boatload of money to go in and configure it. And then your hands were tied because you didn't know how to edit it. You didn't know how to do anything in it. If you wanted to add something, you know, forget it, call the developer. Kartra, you know, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. Something that, you know, just allows you free access to do anything you want to do. So pretty cool stuff. All right, guys. Oh, here's one. Tim Gillette. He says YouTube #2 search engine, 2+ billion searches a day. That's, you know, that we were talking about YouTube in the beginning. I wish I would have seen that earlier. I would have thrown that out at the appropriate time. Thanks for that, Tim. All right, guys. Anything else? We've chewed up an hour here. Anything else before we hop off? And all right. Well, cool. Thank you all for being here and participating. Your questions are great. You know, there's no bad questions. So if you guys are stuck on anything, this is the place to get unstuck. Hop on here and ask away. So, all right, guys, have a great week. We'll be back next week, same time, same bat channel. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.